Our scripture reading for today comes from the Old Testament, Proverbs chapter 8, verses 22 through 36. The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of long ago. Ages ago I was set up, at the first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no springs, abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills I was brought forth. When he had not yet made earth and fields, or the world's first bits of soil. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep. When he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep. When he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his command. When he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him like a master worker, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the human race. And now, my children, listen to me. Happy are those who keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and do not neglect it. Happy is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. For whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But those who miss me injure themselves. All who hate me love death. And from the New Testament, the book of John, chapter 19, verses 25b to 27. Meanwhile, standing near the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple whom he loved standing beside her, he said to his mother, "Woman, here is your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Here is your mother." And from that hour, the disciple took her into his own home.
Today is Mother's Day. Not a religious holiday per se, but an important one. And despite its commercialization and often sentimentalized expression, almost all of us still instinctively feel the rightness of a day designated to honor motherhood. The United Church of Christ, our denomination, calls it the festival of the Christian home. I've heard it said that a festival is nothing more than a party if the celebration doesn't in some way connect us all to the divine dimensions of our lives. Surely motherhood, which generates life and nurtures it, which loves with a love that readily and naturally puts the welfare of her children before herself, for whom no sacrifice is ever too great to bear, who loves unconditionally accepting her child's lanyard and colorful picture as a great treasure and truly believing it. Surely this mothering love shines with a blessed light into this world. Calling Mother's Day a festival seems well-deserved. In the UCC Festival of the Christian Home, we recognize both mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers and any who create a place of nurture and support for the raising of children, who establish a place called home. Today, in honor of this festival, I chose a scripture reading from the book of Proverbs. Here we encounter the ancient wisdom of God imaged as Sophia. Sophia speaks to us from the pages of scripture. The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first acts of long ago, when he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he marked out the foundations of the earth. I was beside him like a master worker, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the human race. What an inspiriting ancient image. The Creator, in partnership with wisdom, together delighting in this creation, delighting in the human race. Sophia The Greek word for wisdom is found in the words philosophy, and the love of wisdom, and theosophy, the wisdom of God. Here in this passage, Sophia is seen as the hidden unity behind the whole plan of creation. The ancient wisdom that holds the created order together. Wisdom dances with God, working and playing in the world, celebrating humanity. In this sense, she is the hearth and home of all that is or can be. She reminds us of an inner quality of things that we must turn inward to see. The voice of wisdom, as she speaks in Proverbs, has been described as the world soul. But the world soul, the primordial home, must be sought by each of us. Sophia exists in the design of creation, a treasured part of it. But like all treasures, she's hidden. Wisdom is always there, but only the eyes of love permit one the vision to see. In the course of our individual lives, through the experience of loving, through the power of the imagination, and through the power and creativity of memory, we are privileged to catch glimpses. These experiences open the eyes of our souls wide enough for us to see God's being within the material world around us and within the being of another. Even more important, loving, remembering, imagining allow us to peek around the obstacle of our own domineering ego into the self that we really are. Let's take a closer look at the word remember. It is a combination of the prefix re, which means back or again, as in return, turn back again, and the word member. So to remember is to bring back the memories, again, to bring back to mind the specific qualities of certain beloved characters or events or places or feelings, even traumas. To host a kind of reunion of the soul. To remember is to imaginatively sense the limbs, organs, and blood of these feelings and thoughts, and to make them come alive again. When we remember, we feel a sudden vitality within, which now inhabits our minds and hearts. For a brief moment, the past lives. To remember is a creative act, an act of reverencing or giving respect, an act which has the power to deeply affect the one who remembers. The word religion itself means to tie back. To practice religion means to strive to return home to the divine source. Well, Dick Lundquist called me this week after reading my sermon on the 23rd Psalm. Dick has many memories and stories that ground his life. Will we all agree to that? This was one you may have heard, but that's all right. He spent several decades in the Arvada police force. One night he was called to a terrible accident. An elderly Black woman was pinned into her car. While waiting for medical help, Dick crawled into the car to investigate. She said to him, "I am cold," and he gave her his coat. Then they waited, and she asked, "Would you hold my hand? And then, would you pray with me?" Dick started reciting the 23rd Psalm, and she joined in with him and died in his arms. Dick was terribly upset, but very carefully reassured there was nothing that could have been done to save her life, as a broken rib had lacerated her internally. A couple of days later, he was called down to the station office, wondering, oh gosh, what's wrong now? In the office, two younger women waited for him, a mother and a daughter. And they said, "We just came to thank you. We are grateful to you that our mother did not die alone." And he asked, "How did you know?" And they said their neighbor had come by the car and looked in as the event took place and had told them about it. The women started crying, and Dick found himself moved to tears as well. In this time of racial tension and injustice, this memory speaks of another way. Dick turns 90 on June 4, and I hope that we'll all remember him. Well, when for some reason the pace of life slows momentarily, like the time in which we've been living, we often experience a strange sense of longing and a desire to return to the source of our lives. We can be overcome with what seems to be a profound feeling of nostalgia, or one could even say homesickness. Who among us has never felt homesick, has never felt a poignant absence and a painful longing to return home to loved ones, familiar turf, remembered customs, sights, sounds, even smells? Many of us, now separated from family and friends behind windows and masks, yearn for the freedom to connect deeply with others as we remember. Refugees from war-torn lands, from political or religious persecution, yearn for the land of their birth. Seniors quarantined in nursing homes feel a terrible loneliness in this vacuum of contact with those they love. Folks whose families of origin have passed on, those whose hallowed homes have been demolished to build highways or parking lots, divorced couples whose households had to be dissolved, and all the children of these couples who travel back and forth between them, all feel a sense of loneliness, a loss of homes taken for grantedness. This deep longing for home appears in our dreams. Recently, a woman told me of a dream she had of herself traveling away from the house of her grandfather, an important figure in her life, and then confused about where she was or how she got there, she desperately tried to contact him to get back home again. Homesickness is not a childhood weakness. It doesn't suggest immaturity on our part. This awakening of the lamenting heart is the soul's reminder of our need to return again and again, to refuel, to reconnect, to rediscover. Our souls need a place to belong. We may indeed be longing for a literal country or town or place or person, but in these profound waves of homesickness, which come out of the blue, there's also a spiritual desire to feel the unity of all life and the trusted place of our own lives within it, to escape from the rootlessness and aimlessness of the world in which we often live. There's a desire to live within the circle that God drew on the face of the deep when the world was created, and here to feel at home. When we are awakened to a wisdom that exists within us and around us, perhaps by the knock of homelessness, the spark of memory, the dream of imagination, we remember that having been born into Sophia's unity, we can take delight in our own revelations. These revelations are unique and individual expressions of her wisdom. In our homesickness, we become aware that we are not homeless, disoriented, perhaps, lost, maybe, a long journey away sometimes, but our souls tell us that we are never homeless. Our faith tells us that we are never without a home to which we can and will return. The Festival of the Christian Home reminds us that what is needed in modern life is this sense of home, image, memory, which provides stability, which gives home base. Let us move out to embrace the adventures and challenges of our lives while feeling this security at our core, holding us together no matter how far away we roam. This might be found for some of us in a loving home or church, a place where we are known and welcomed, the presence of close neighbors, a faithful partner, the inspiration of a devoted teacher, the touch of intimate healing. Our home base might also be summoned in the practice of prayer, in our attention to our dreams, in our calling to compassionate service to society. Carl Sandburg communicated a sensory image of comforting memory in his short poem, Home. Here is the thing my heart wishes the world had more of. I heard it in the air one night when I listened to a mother singing softly to a child, restless and angry in the darkness. When we see or hear the love, imagination, and remembrances of the heart, we are no longer alienated or isolated in our individuality. We feel a unity that is our birthright. We walk into the circle God drew and continues to draw on the face of the deep. Our soul wants intimacy. Our soul yearns for Sophia's wisdom. In closing, listen again to her words. And now, my children, listen to me. Happy are those who keep my ways, hear instruction and be wise, and do not neglect it. Happy is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. The way to wisdom is in patience and trust in life, beginning with your own individual experience of it. The way to wisdom is to love and imagine and remember, to delight in the joys of the earth and yet to suffer its sadness, to be courageous toward the future, but to be steadfast to what you have known and loved, to let go when you need to, and to tie back, religio, when you can, to patiently and expectantly stand in waiting at wisdom's gates, listening, learning, and knowing that you are home. Thank you.